Hello everyone, welcome to our first STEP webinar, which will be dedicated to the job hunting. Before we start, I would like to tell you that if you want to change the better quality of the video, please do so on the right down corner. And you will have the opportunity to ask questions during the webinar. Please write your questions to the comments and we will answer all of them. Now I would like to introduce you my two great team members, Gabriel and Jan, who will be having this workshop. If you have any direct question to me, you can of course ask all the time, but otherwise it's up to them. So thank you for joining us today, and I hope it will be very useful for all of you.
Okay, so can we begin now? Okay, so hello guys, as Aneta already introduced me, my name is Gabriela Mustiața and I am the Director for STEP Coaching for this term. It is my pleasure to be a part of this job hunting webinar. First of all, we will present you where you can find all the information regarding job hunting that you might need throughout this term. First of all, most of the rules will be found in the decision book of ELSA, where there is a special section for STEP, and there you can find all the regulations regarding job hunting as well. Then on the STEP portal, you will be able to find the STEP tutorial and the STEP handbook, where you will find like all the steps for the job hunting, where all the procedures, tips and tricks and stuff like that. Actually, now the STEP handbook is right now being updated by our IB team, but for now you can use the one that is already on the STEP portal. Then you can also use the media card and the statistics that are also posted on the officers portal. Also some national groups also have their own decision book or national regulations, and you can use that information as well. And last but not least, please always contact your STEP coach if you have any questions or you would need some advice regarding job hunting, and not only. We are here and we can share our experience and our knowledge with you. So for now, if you have any questions regarding this section, okay, then we will move on to the next section of the training, which is which is called Steps of Job Hunting. Basically, it consists with all the steps and procedure that you will need to do throughout the job hunting in each step cycle. First of all, we will discuss the importance of the STEP team and why you should use such a team in your local group or national group. First of all, if you choose to make up a STEP team, most of the tasks that you might have will be spread between the vice president and the team and the coordinator of the team. Then, of course, if you have more people in your team, the local group or the national group can contact a greater variety of people and potential traineeship providers, and of course, more potential traineeship providers. Also, one thing that is very, very important as well is that your team members have the opportunity to learn a lot about STEP, and then it will be a lot easier for you to find your successor, because you are starting to prepare your people even from the beginning of the term. Of course, even the STEP team has some problems that might appear. First of all, the first problem that you might encounter is the fact that the process takes a lot longer. So you need to prepare it like beforehand. Now I would like to present you like which are these steps for you to make up your STEP team. First of all, you will need to open a period of application. For the coordinator, you can have like greater requirements. You can ask them to send you an ELSA CV, a short action plan, and a letter of intent. But of course, these requirements are up to you. It's your decision. Then you will have to do the selection of the coordinator. And here it depends on the tradition of each local or national group, if it will be chosen by the national or the local board, or if the STEP department will be voting upon the coordinator. Then you, along with the coordinator, will be selecting all of your team members. And of course, after you have your team complete, you should start preparing them. So you should organize a training for them to understand what job hunting is, and so they are very, very prepared when you send them to talk to potential traineeship providers. Of course, after training, I suggest for you to do some activities to organize different practical activities, such as fictive meetings, so you are sure that your members are very, very prepared when they go to talk to a potential traineeship provider, and that they know what they should do. After your team is already prepared and the training step is done, you can start assigning tasks along with the coordinator, and then the work itself starts. For the structure of the STEP team, of course, you will have the coordinator, and then you will have the members. It depends on the size of the local group or the national group. Usually, if you're of a local group, you should have like, I don't know, 10 people or so. It should be enough. And then, of course, if you have like directors for job hunting, student hunting, reception, or STEP in general, then of course the directors will be a part of the team as well. For your responsibilities and the ones of the team, I presented them when I presented the steps for making up the STEP team. So of course, the vice president will have to open the period of application and then select the coordinator. And from this point on, your job will be spread with the coordinating, the selection of the team members, the training, the organizing the activities, and then assigning the tasks. If anyone has any questions regarding STEP team, okay. If you have any questions, just write them in the comments and then we will answer them. After you have your STEP team and you are sure that they are prepared, you should start preparing your materials. Also, we will present like what are the pros and the cons of these materials. First of all, if you prepare like a STEP portfolio, it will be very, very useful for the mail and the meeting itself, as you will have some visual support when you try to convince the potential traineeship provider to give training. Then, of course, that person will have some documents if they need to discuss this opportunity with their associates and their colleagues. Then they will have some documents to show them as well after the meeting. What problems might appear? Of course, during the meeting, the traineeship provider might be looking too much into the material, and then it exists the risk that he will not be paying that much attention to what you are saying. So you should be careful when you show them the materials, and be careful not to have too many materials in your STEP portfolio, in your physical one. The responsibilities of the officer, of the vice president STEP, include preparing these materials along with your vice president marketing and your coordinator. Along with the two of them, you will decide what materials the STEP portfolio should include, which design you would like, and so on. We also have some materials that we recommend that you include in your STEP portfolio. First of all, you can include the STEP media card that, as I already said, you can find on the on the officer's portal. Then you should include a description of the program, what it is, and why we are doing it. Then you can also include recommendation letters from former vice presidents, from traineeship providers, from trainees, especially from people that are very, very familiar with the program and that can show that you are very, very good at this and the program is already established in your local or national group and, of course, at the international level. Then you can include some statistics to show that actually STEP is pretty big. Also, you can include testimonials from traineeship providers and from the trainees that already worked with you. Then I suggest that you also include a traineeship specification form and also a traineeship agreement so that you can show them what contracts they will have to sign later on if they accept to be part of the program. And of course, so they can contact you later on, you should also include the business card of the Vice President STEP and or the STEP team coordinator. If you have any questions regarding materials. Okay. Then, of course, after you have already prepared your materials, you should start doing your research. It is the first step towards success, as now we are choosing the potential traineeship providers and all the people that we will be contacting. First of all, the vice president for STEP, along with the coordinator, should do the research together, as it is a job for two. I will now present some steps for the research. First of all, you should get in contact with the former vice president STEP of the local group and national group to ask them where they organized STEP traineeships in the last terms. I suggest you ask in the last 5 terms or so. Then you should ask your Secretary General to provide you the alumni database of the local or national group, as these people are usually most likely to offer you a traineeship because they know what ELSA is and why we do it and why we love it. So usually it is easier to obtain a STEP from them. Then you should decide which categories of potential traineeship providers you would like to contact for the STEP cycles. For example, you can contact lawyers, banks, companies, public institutions, and so on. And of course, after you decide on the categories that you would like to approach for the STEP cycle, then you will start doing your research on internet or anything like that to choose the people that are most likely to offer you such a traineeship. For this step, you have some criteria to choose them. For example, if people have cases or clients in other countries, or if they have more employees, or if they would have the financial support to be part in such a program, if they have a great interest in helping law students develop, and so on. If some companies fulfill some of these criteria, then they are more likely to offer you a STEP traineeship. And this is, okay, we have a question. Sorry, I cannot see the question.
I will just take over for now because I can see the question. So, Rebecca, I hope I get it right that like you used the old CSF in case of it was already filled out from the last time, or like the old document, because there is no updated PDF document, so blank document at the moment. But if you like take the old traineeship specification from the last year and just let it sign for the new cycle, that should be fine, and ELSA International should accept this. If I got your question wrong, please just type it in the comments so we can answer it correctly. Okay, Gabriela, do you want to continue?
Okay. If we do not have any more questions, then this is the part with the research. And after the research is complete, then we should make up our database. Usually we work with databases because it helps future generations find ideas for STEP traineeship providers. And of course, if you use such a database, then your work will be more and more organized. And it is also easier for you to keep track of all the people that have been contacted, all the feedback that the team members received, and so on. For the database, we have more sections. First of all, you should include the name of the potential traineeship provider, then the contact person if he or she is known beforehand. If not, this field will be filled in by the team member in charge with this potential traineeship provider. And then it should state the category, if it is, like I said, a law firm, a public institution, or so on. Then if you have some contact details of that potential traineeship provider, you should also write them in this section. And then you should state if that person or company is, if that person is an ELSA alumni, if ELSA usually collaborates with that potential traineeship provider, or if it is a partner of ELSA. If it has offered us STEP traineeships in the past. And then after this, you will have another section where you state the name of the team member that is in charge with contacting that potential traineeship provider. And then the next section should include the feedback that the team member receives after contacting them, what went good, what did not, advice for the future, and so on. And then the final section will be stating if they are willing or not to offer us a STEP traineeship. Your responsibilities of the vice president and the coordinator will be to update the database based on the research that you have already done, to provide the team members with the database and explain to them how they should use that. Some tips and tricks regarding the database. I suggest that before you assign each potential traineeship to the team members, that you provide them with a database and ask them if they know people at some companies, or if they have any relations, if they have worked with them before, or so on, because then it would be easier for them to obtain a STEP traineeship in that particular place. And of course, when you make up your database, if you start working on it at the beginning of the term, you should be sure to spread them between the 2 STEP cycles, because it might be a risk if you contact all of the people on the database in the first STEP cycle, then it will be more difficult for you to obtain traineeships in the second STEP cycle. So you should be careful how you divide all the companies. Then, of course, the responsibilities of the team, they will be responsible with filling the last sections that I told you about with the feedback, and if they are willing or not to offer STEP traineeship. If you have any questions so far? Okay.
Then
yeah.
I will take over for the next step. I already answered the quick question, but I also want to introduce myself. My name is Jan. I'm from Germany, and I'm assistant for STEP job hunting in the team of ELSA International this term. So to continue, obviously the next step after you've done your research and the database is to get in contact with the possible traineeship provider. And basically there is no right way to do, because there are different ways to get in contact with possible traineeship providers, and the best way really differs from case to case. So I think the most of you, or at least in German, most people, that first write emails to the possible traineeship providers. The obviously pros of this are there are really little effort. You can draft them previously and send them out to many possible traineeship providers, but they should be at least a bit individual, so that it's not that obvious that they were drafted before. And also the psychological barrier is much lower for most people than to call them directly. The Cons, on the other hand, are that they could be wrongly identified as spam mails, and that it is really impersonal to write an email first. About what to write or to do when you contact a traineeship provider per email, you should state the key fact about ELSA, and as with all the ways of getting in contact, your goal should be to establish the contact, to get a personal meeting at the office of the possible traineeship provider to talk about STEP in person. So it's also important to do follow-up calls if you write emails. Problems that might could arise if you write emails also that you should not attach files, because attached files from an unknown person could always seem to be malware. So if you do want to attach some files, put in links to the office's portal to make this. The next possibility to contact a traineeship provider is a phone call. The pros are that you get a direct response and you can get a contact person immediately, so you can be directed to the contact person immediately. It's much more personal than an email, and it's also harder to ignore for the traineeship provider, at least harder to ignore than an email. The cons, on the other hand, it needs much more preparation, because you have to do better research on the traineeship provider. You have to know what you're saying. You have to reach the right person who is responsible for human resources or for traineeships. Yeah. There are two more ways to get in contact with possible traineeship providers as well. Not that frequently used. One thing is a direct personal meeting. So if you do know the traineeship provider already, might because he's a lecturer at your university or he is already a partner of your local or national ELSA group, you can go there directly, but never go unannounced. And basically, it's just a way of contacting a person that is already in contact with ELSA. And basically, it has the same pros and cons as a phone call, but it's more drastically than with a phone call. And the old-fashioned way is to send a letter. It has more or less the same pros and cons than an email, but you have the possibility to attach printed out marketing material, but the preparation is also quite huge. And as I already said, the aim of the first contact is always to get an appointment for a personal acquisition talk meeting at the law firm or the institution. And Gabrielle will now take over again to talk about the acquisition talks.
We have a question from Lucas. He's asking us if we would recommend to collaborate, for example, during the contact establishment with the president of your national group or local group. Of course, like in your example, if a potential traineeship provider sees the mail president at ELSA ... then he might react a bit faster, but that is not necessarily a rule. So if you do not want to overload the work of your president, you can, of course, you can also send the emails. From my experience, I have sent emails for STEP traineeships even before I was a local officer. So I was just a team member, and people reacted to my emails just as fast as they would do to any other email address. So it's okay on the other way. I hope I answered your questions. If not, please let me know in the comments. Then, of course, as Jan presents you how we should first get in contact, if you listen to his advice, then congratulations, you already got a meeting. So before we actually show ourselves up to the potential traineeship provider, we should do again our research, and we should make sure that we are the best prepared that we can. First of all, we should find out if that potential traineeship provider has any clients or cases in foreign countries. We should also know the legal areas that they work in, the profile of the company, or maybe anything that might make the conversation more agreeable and easier for you to obtain the traineeship, the STEP traineeship. Then for the people that show up to the meeting, I recommend that the person that contacted the traineeship provider should be going to that meeting. So we have continuity in the process of job hunting. And of course, along with that team member, you should be going the vice president, the coordinator of the team, or the president of the local group or national group. If neither of these people are available for the meeting, that's just fine. You can just send another team member that has already been to more and more meetings, and you can trust them that they are prepared to do it. Then also, before you go to the meeting, you should decide on the dress code depending on the profile of the company. If you know that they are more casual, then you should adapt your dressing to it, and so on. It is actually very, very important how you show up, that you are in accordance with that company, and so on. And the most important advice is for you to show up on time, because it is very, very important to be there at time. Some people do not even take you into consideration if you do not show that you are that serious that you can show up on time at the meeting. Then you should find an icebreaker to start the conversation, something that person might find appealing or that might be of interest for him or her. Then, of course, when you get to the meeting, it is very, very important how you handshake with him or her, because it is very, very important that you have a firm handshake. And I have some advice for it that I learned at another fundraising training. I will try to show it to you, but it's a bit complicated. I will do it somehow reversed. Of course, then you should do it like this. But for example, if you show that person your hand and then they grab your hand and do it like this, some people might have the tendency to do so, to show that they are kind of in a superior position of power than you. If this happens to you, just to make it, to take it into your advantage, you should put your other hand, I would need a third hand for this, you should put like your other hand over it. So in that way, you do not switch it, but somehow you make sure that your positions are equal. And of course, as I said, it is very, very important that your handshake is firm. Then you should be careful how you sit at the table. Also, during that training, I learned that you should not be standing with your back at a window or at a door, because the other person might be distracted by what happens on the window or so on. And also, in his or her mind, it somehow borns the idea that it is easy for him or her to reject your idea. And also, if you as you go by two, you should not be standing like near them. Always be careful to be sitting like in front of them, so you can keep eye contact with them during the meeting. And that would be like the basic stuff so how you should prepare for the meeting. Then, of course, for the structure of your discussion, me and Jan thought that first of all you should present what is ELSA and a few details about us: purpose, vision, why we do it, how we do it, and so on. Then you should present what is STEP, the purpose of the program, and how it works. But be careful to only explain the details that would be of interest for that person, not all of them. And also keep in mind that the person that you are talking to has never heard of the program and does not know the abbreviation that we use and so on. So be careful to explain it like very, very easy for them to understand. Then you should present like the arguments for the STEP program, how the traineeship provider and the trainee would benefit from it. Also make sure to present how the trainee would benefit from it, because I have met some people that accepted to be part of the program, not because of what they could get, but because they wanted to help students develop. And then at the end of the meeting, you should explain how the TSF should be filled in. You should also, if he already gave you a positive answer and you are starting to fill in the TSF, be careful that all of the fields are filled in correctly, and that the traineeship provider offers detailed information about the tasks and about the requirements for the trainee and so on. And now Jan will present some tips and tricks for negotiation.
Yeah, exactly. The first thing I just wanted to add that with the other local board member or team member which accompanies you to the training, do not only agree on the dress code, also like talk previously on who says what, who like presents alta, who presents step, so that you have like everybody knows what he's saying and you're not like interrupting each other during the talks. And also after you arrived at the law firm, do not only greet the partner or your contact person, but when you're like sitting waiting for a contact person or walking through the law firm, greet every employee of the company. So just to be friendly and to make a good impression. Also, during the argumentation, you should be able to quickly switch to his arguments of your contact person to either invalidate them or to impose them. So try to stick to his argumentation and try, because he will seek his advantage, and if he has like any arguments against that, try to oppose them and to argue why it's not true. And remember the basic principle, try to go from your weakest argument to the strongest, so that you got your strongest argument for the end of the negotiation talks. And also, Gabriela already started to talk about the body language, and this is really enormously important. But sadly, this is something that really comes with experience, and I do not think that it can be learned like from within a few minutes. But just a few things to remember. If you lose your thread, do not sit silent, but just tell your opponent that you just lost your thread and that you maybe will just start the sentence over again. And use your hands when you're talking. Use them like in this region of your body. Do not try to use them above your shoulders, because this can like really seem aggressive. And don't try to use them under your body, because this is a bit defensive. Okay. And also try to look at your conversation partner without staring at him. I think that should be clear. But also surprisingly that feet and hands say more than you think. So feet and hands usually point in the direction where our attention flows. So if you see that you have the attention of your conversation partner, also show him that he has yours. And don't underestimate humor in such situations. A little joke or an appropriate humorous remark can like really brighten things up and can be good to the conversation. And just remember to be friendly, show respect, and but also like keep to your arguments and don't just let him get away with you. Okay. After, do you have any questions regarding this part? Okay. I don't think so. Okay.
Jan, I wanted to add something. I had my microphone turned off. So just a small advice as well. You go with 2 people for the meeting. So always when a person is talking and presenting his arguments and so on, the other person should be listening and also observing the reaction of the potential traineeship provider to find out whether that person likes what he or she hears or not. If you observe that person doesn't like exactly what he or she hears, then you can of course interfere with some comments and so on, so that you take this into your advantage. It is not the case for us to present you now how you will be able to tell if the person likes what he hears or not. But you can find a lot of guides like this on internet, and they are very, very useful and also interesting for you to read. So yeah.
Okay, I think we got a question from Balska. So yeah, I don't think you can just give general advice on this question. So the question is if we should only talk about STEP, try a lot to promote other ELSA projects. So I think in the part where you're like introducing ELSA as an association in general, you will also like at least mention a few projects, for example, the ELSA moot court competition or maybe delegations. So if you show interest then, and maybe it comes back to those projects during the talks about STEP, you can definitely go and try to promote them too. But if it's like already hard to convince him to be a traineeship provider in STEP, maybe you just should establish a relationship with this partner as a traineeship provider, and then maybe a year later you can also start to try to promote the other ELSA projects. Okay. So after the negotiation, you hopefully have convinced your conversation partner to become a traineeship provider, and hopefully he has also like completed the TSF. And now just talk a little bit about what to do and how to stay in contact with the traineeship provider after you completed the TSF, which you can obviously find on the officers portal. So after the TSF was completed, it's important that you stay in loose contact with the traineeship provider. Just inform him about every important deadline, so about the STEP launch, or like what is generally going on in the STEP procedure right now. So maybe if you can like write me an email that the matching process has begun and he will receive his selection or matching results in a few weeks' time. Also, yeah, the traineeship provider should always know how long it will take until he can select a trainee, also in order that he does not forget that he still has to select a trainee at some point. So for this case, you can like write emails or stuff. And also, besides the STEP calendar, especially if like the traineeship provider is already in a long-term cooperation with your local group and it's not the first traineeship piece, trainee can like send thank you cards, Christmas cards. You can send him his or your annual report, or like anything, general information what your local ELSA group is doing. Okay. Any questions regarding this part?
I do not see any questions.
Yeah. Don't wonder if you like always wait a few seconds for you to write questions, because we have like a slight delay in what we are telling you and what is streamed on Facebook Live. Okay, so the next step then obviously is the matching and the selection result after the student hunting phase. So for the matching and selection results, it's really the most important thing is that you forward all the emails and all information you get as soon as possible to the right people, because you're like really in between the matching team of ELSA International and the traineeship provider, and it doesn't matter if you're like a national group or a local group, because if the email gets stuck at the national group or the local group and does not get to the traineeship provider in time, this means that the selection results will be delayed, and this again means more work for the national WP STEP and also for Annetter and the STEP team of Oslo International. So most important thing is to forward all the emails as soon as possible, and it's like really not that much work to forward emails. When you forward the matching results to the traineeship provider, you should really explain in detail what the traineeship provider has to do on the interface and how it works, how you can rank the people, how you can see the applications. So yeah, and it's also good for the national WP steps to like maybe make a draft email explaining this, which can be forwarded to the traineeship providers by the local traineeship providers. If your national group has it like the way that the national WP step directly forwards the matching results to the traineeship providers, then of course the national WP step should like explain the process. Also tell the traineeship provider that you be always available for questions and help, and that you also can help him fill out the interface, and like in the worst case, if they really do not know how to do it, they can just send you an email with the ranked trainees and you can like fill it into the interface. But this should be like really the last solution if they're really not able to do it on their own. And you also should tell the traineeship provider that he should notify you as soon as possible after he has done the ranking, because it's a lot of work for you guys to just write emails or call them every 2 days to ask them if they done the selection. Also, Annetter gets like a notification if a traineeship provider does the selection, but obviously the notification does not say if it's like the final ranking or if it's just like the first ranking and they have to rethink something in it. So in the moment you know that the traineeship provider has done the final selection, just write it to your national WP step or to Annetter, so that we don't have any delays in the process. And yeah, and also I know there's a selection results deadline from Oslo International, but sometimes it helps to like set an intern deadline for your local groups or for the traineeship providers a few days earlier, because also law firms will always be working on deadlines. If you like set the deadlines like 2 or 3 days earlier, it will help to get the selection results on time, because obviously the traineeship provider won't be or does not have the step calendar to check if you tell them the right deadline or not. Okay, yeah, in normal case, your national responsible will notify the IB after you got the selection results. Yeah. Okay, any questions regarding this? I think so.
We have a question and Aneta will be answering it now.
Okay, great.
Okay, so thank you for the question, Lukasz. Regarding the online traineeship specification form, unfortunately, we are still not able to make it work for now. We did everything we could. Now we are waiting for the IT firm to do so for the second cycle. As you know, there will be completely new complex IT solution for steps. So for the second cycle, there will be online traineeship specification form. For now, me and Christoph were updating the PDF version. So now it looks like the information inside is the same as in the online form. And now, guys, you can continue.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, it's like the perfect next step, because that Lukasz already asked about the online form, because this is also like the next point on our agenda to quickly talk about the forms and the online forms. At the moment, there's only one true job hunting online form, which is the evaluation form, which is filled in by the traineeship provider after the traineeship. It also can be found on the officers portal, and yeah, and it is directly submitted to ELSA International. Yeah, but also, of course, all other relevant forms can be found online at the officers portal. So the traineeship specification form and also the traineeship agreement. The traineeship agreement is something we haven't mentioned yet. It's like a drafted agreement by ELSA International to forward to the traineeship provider to get a contract with the trainee. But if the traineeship provider wants to use his own traineeship agreement, yeah, he can do so, of course. And also the regulations of ELSA International make it possible that in country where entering such an agreement is not legally possible, it is allowed to create an own traineeship agreement, and trainees shall sign a simplified version of the traineeship agreement, which also can be found online. Yeah, this is called traineeship confirmation. Okay, are there any questions regarding this? See one from Balscan. Yeah. Yeah, I will just answer. So it basically always like depends on in which legal areas the traineeship provider is working in, but because of the language requirements he can set out, it's totally possible, for example, to him to do translation works, to yeah, this is like the least thing he can do, but yeah, because he's like able to set out the legal skills and the language skills so precise, the trainee should be able to do like a lot more work. Could be research, could be drafting drafting contracts or written pleadings for court. The trainee can accompany the lawyer to court. There are really much things to do, and especially if like the law firm or institution is working in more than one country, there are lots of tasks for the trainee to do. I hope this answers your questions. And then Balus Khan. Yeah, I thought I made it clear enough, but because there's like no confirmation sent to ELSA International, and ELSA International doesn't know if the ranking is final or not, you should always be double checking with the train and asking the traineeship provider if it's the final ranking or not. But if you tell the traineeship provider at the beginning that he shall like notify you as soon as it's finalized, this can like be much easier. If he just sent you an email telling that it's finalized, you don't need to double check. Okay, so then no more questions. We will continue with the platforms. We already mentioned the officers portal, which is officers.elsa.org. There you can find like all important documents and materials, be it the forms we already mentioned, but also handbooks, statistics, which might be useful and handy to quote in negotiation talks, because like numbers are always a good thing to argue with. But you can also find marketing material as the Step Media card and the presentations from the camp, for example. Also, as a platform, we have obviously the STEP website, step.elsa.org, where you have to upload the traineeships, including pictures, logos, and descriptions, which you can do national Wi-Fi Steps can do under the category New Portfolio. And yeah, I think if you've got any questions regarding how to type in the TSF into the portfolio database, your step coach will be able to help you and to tell you everything you need to know about this. Also, on the this website, the traineeships are getting published. So after they got published, it's important to just quickly check if everything is all right, if you didn't make any mistakes, and so on. Are there any questions regarding the platforms? Okay, I don't think so. And then we are heading to our last point of this job hunting webinar. So if you have any questions left or any things we didn't mention yet, just type them down in the comments so that we can answer them after this last point, which is a really quick one because it's just a deadline reminder. So for the first cycle, we have our first job hunting deadline coming up. Yeah, basically 1 month from now. So the 8th of November is the job hunting deadline, the external job hunting deadline, with the internal job hunting deadline a few days later. And yeah, with the internal job hunting deadline, the website upload deadline on the 10th of November, so 2 days later. Then the matching in the first cycle will be conducted from the 23rd of December 2017 to the 5th of January 2018. So props to our matching team, who is like spending their Christmas holidays on matching the applications, which is like a huge effort. And I think we can be all be thankful to those guys that they are taking the time off to do the matching. And then on the 26th of January, there should be the selection results published. Okay, and for the second cycle, it's more or less the same. The second job hunting deadline is on the 31st of March, and the website upload deadline 1 day later at the 1st of April. The matching is then conducted from the 12th to the 25th of May, and the selection results are published on the 15th of June. Any questions regarding the deadlines? Or any other questions, just write them down in the comments. But otherwise, I would say that Gabriella's and my turn is finished. I would hand it back over to Anita.
Okay, so as we don't see any other questions, I would like to thank all of you guys for attending this first step webinar. There will be much more following, and of course you can ask questions even in the comments after the end of the webinar. I would like to thank, my special thanks come to Gabriel and Jan, and also to Christoph, who was supporting us all the time here. And yeah, I hope you found this webinar useful, and we will use that much more in the future. So thank you guys.